Good evening. This is the third in our series of Third Eye Talks. We call them Third Eye Talks because by the end of it, we're hoping that you're going to have a little bit of an awakening, a little bit of an opening of your third eye, and then you might even take life in a more exciting and interesting direction once you've left here. And the first one we did was on the third eye itself, where we looked at the pineal gland as the origin and source of so much of illumination and across religions and across cultures, that the third eye was this part of the brain that could be activated. And then the second talk, we talked about the Kundalini, where we talked about how one can awaken that in your spinal cord and then open your third eye through breathing and mantra and techniques like that. And today we're coming to the source of it all, because to understand Shiva is to understand consciousness. I'm a filmmaker and a digital media person. In my private life, I'm an explorer, like all of you, I think, everybody here today. And I'm an explorer in two fronts. One is the nature of consciousness, which is the most exciting journey of the 21st century. And the other area is the history of the exploration of consciousness, which is that we don't want to lose what we have learned in the struggle for neuroscience and science. We want to keep the old baby going, so we learn from the past and we go forward, right? And the third area that I'm interested in is the practice, which is that how do you do it? Because it's one thing to read about it, it's another thing to, experience it. And all our traditions tell us that experience is the key to connecting to whatever you want to call it. Source, God, altered states of consciousness, whatever you want to call it, experience is the key. You've got to try and have that experience in your life. When you think of Indian wisdom, two images come to mind. First, a golden age, the Mahabharata, the Ramayana, the Vedic gods and goddesses, the Buddha sitting under a Bodhi tree. This image of Indian wisdom is the first one. The second one is our very modern Indian gurus. Now, when you think about our gurus, in the last 120 years, our gurus have been one of our major exports from India. We are great at producing gurus. There's no doubt about that. And here's a little family of them. So, but Indian wisdom has a far more sort of messy history than that. And when you think about it, it's full of rebels and reformers and rethinking and reimagination. And that's what I want to talk about, reimagination. So when you think about it, look at all the concepts that we share around the world today: karma, yoga, tantra. These are all products of the Indian imagination. They are not something sealed in some golden past. So when I look at it, look at the Buddha, for example. Here he was. He found a cure for suffering. And then he shared it, and his first students were the rich kids of Benares, the merchants' children. And he was the first therapist in a way. When you think about it, you look at 1893, Swami Vivekananda goes to America, to the Parliament of Religions in Chicago, and he becomes the first American guru. That is the original poster of America when he went there. And when you think about it, then in 1952, we have BKS Iyengar, who takes a small school of yoga called Hatha Yoga from India, takes it to the West, and today it's a $64 billion industry. I mean, this reimagination has had a tremendous impact. So what is it about Indian wisdom that keeps it being reimaginable? What is it that Indian wisdom can give to today's world? Social network, quantum entangled, high-speed broadband, dissatisfied world we live in today. So I have thought about this, and I've come up with 5 concepts I want to share with you that starts with, the first one is that everything is mind, consciousness. Now, this is a fundamental Indian idea. And the idea is that Tattvam Asi, your consciousness and the consciousness of the whole universe are one. You are that. And you can climb through different stages of consciousness to realize that. That's the big Indian's message. Number 2 is the idea of everything is interconnected. The karma, the law of causality. Something happens here, a ripple goes through the whole universe. Whatever you think or do or say has consequences. We're interconnected. The third one, and this is, shows you the interconnected of dance and the world. The third one is this idea of yoga. Now, think about it. We have tried and tested methods of traveling both inwards and outwards to the farthest end of the cosmos or to the DNA, to the string level and vibrating at that level. But all in our mind. We actually can train our minds to do that. So that's a huge contribution. The next one, which is the fourth one, is this idea of a conscious evolution. That means you actually can evolve your consciousness with these practices. You can become a better human being, you can become non-violent, you can have compassion, you can develop kindness. These are all fundamental to evolution. That's a very Indian idea. And finally, the biggest promise of all is this idea that if you know that everything is mind, that you are part of this cosmos that's evolving, that you can connect to that, and that you can evolve to be a better human being, then Indian wisdom makes a huge promise to you. It's called Sat Chit Ananda. And Sat Chit Ananda is translated as truth, consciousness, and ultimate bliss. So what is it that Indian wisdom can give us? Well, if you follow Indian wisdom, you don't need to just follow your bliss, as Joseph Campbell would say, but your bliss will actually follow you. Thank you.
Diversity is accepting differences. That's the power of diversity, accepting differences. I'm not interested whether you're black, white, Chinese, Greek, Indian, Italian, gay, not gay. I'm interested in your brain. Would you agree that's powerful? Would you agree? Because what does it matter what color skin we have or what ethnic background we have? It doesn't matter. What I want to harness is your brain power. And when we surround ourselves with people who are diverse, we are stronger. If you surround yourself by people who are yes people for you, I do not believe, I would contend to challenge you that you're not being diverse in your thinking or in your innovation. The key element of diversity that I would like to leave you with today is thought. Harness your team's thinking. Harness other people's thinking. Challenge the team, and you can grow with the team.
On 27th September 2014, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi proposed an International Day of Yoga at the United Nations General Assembly.
Today, I would like to draw your attention to another subject. When we talk about climate change, when we talk about holistic healthcare, when we talk about unity with nature, when we talk about getting back to basics, I would like to say something special about this subject. Yoga is our ancient, traditional, and invaluable gift. Yoga symbolizes the balance of body and mind, thought and action, achievement and self-control, and the coming together of human beings and nature. Yoga aims at transformation of our lifestyle, and its awareness can help us in our struggle against climate change.
Yoga means to us unity and love.
Start practice yoga and I feel your life become more colorful and meaningful.
In India, I started to have a glimpse of the real yoga, that union of ourselves to the divine.
The practice of yoga brings about balance, well-being, happiness, and the freedom to live life fully. As more and more people take up yoga around the world today, we may actually see the beginning of a global shift in consciousness, leading to a more balanced and harmonious planet. Yoga practitioners become more conscious consumers, better human beings, more environmentally conscious, and good leaders. This is the power of yoga, and it can only be good for the world. Let us work towards making a beginning in this direction with an International Day of Yoga.
On 11th December 2014, the United Nations passed a resolution making 21st June the International Day of Yoga. 177 nations co-sponsored the resolution, a record in UN history.